to inform you about the next steps and the general timeline of this activity, of this work. And of course, most importantly, to bring you your views and positions into the background paper, to incorporate your views and positions into the background paper. So I'm looking forward for a very interesting discussion and very lively discussion, and I hope that you will all participate and you will all advance your views and share with us to make a better note in the end. I would like now to give the floor to George to present the goals and measures that we identified. George, you have the floor.
Very good. Thank you very much, Gabriela and Stefan, for the introduction. I will show you a bit where we come from, and then I would also say, I mean, it's not anymore just the discussion on the enlargement only. It is specifically a bit also about the purpose that we have in the Commission that must fit for this purpose. And so I will just tell you a bit about where we're coming from, and then about, of course, these 6 goals that we have defined. You can better understand what we think we are focusing on. Actually, the topic is a bit older, as you all know, but formerly at the 53rd session of the Statistical Commission, it was 2022, we had this decision 53/105, which mentioned revised the issue of equitable geographical distribution used for the composition of the 24 members of the Commission. We had the resolution at the ECOSOC to expand the scope of the Commission, and then 2023 at the 54th session of the Statistical Commission, we had informal discussion held. There we had a decision, the decision 54/114, that we were saying agreed that further discussion should be held to ensure the Commission is more inclusive. This could include an enlargement of the Statistical Commission to address issues raised related to geographical representation for developing countries, and requested the Bureau to prepare a note with options, including an impact assessment. And of course, then we met in March 2023, and there at the 54th session in March, we have analyzed the question if the UN Statistical Commission is fit for purpose, and if it is, and will be inclusive, representative enough to leave no one behind. Out of that, of course, we had several discussions that we were saying that to be inclusive, this is kind of a precondition to be fit for purpose. That means that just being inclusive, which is already a very good goal to reach, is not enough. I mean, the idea behind is that we are an active group, that also in the newer fields we are having a lot of things to do, that this is part of the Commission. So that's why I would go just quickly into these 6 goals and make some comments on that. So what we think that we have to do that we can reach these goals. The first goal is the Commission should remain as technical as possible. Actually, this is a simple saying, as we always were saying, that we shouldn't be politicized. So we need to have a technical body, and it should be and stay like this, so that we can really focusing on the thing, how we work together, how exactly we are going to do this, and we are not too heavy involved in a political discussion. But of course, we're doing that for being relevant, but it should be staying as technical as possible, even though I know sometimes this is difficult. The measurement there is that we have this representativeness to the Statistical Commission, and the observers are the experts and not the politicians who have methodological independence. So that's what we are complying to the UN fundamental principle. I think that is an incredibly important part, because we have to stick to this. This was actually, I would say, the essence of our success, that we can continue with our work. And therefore, I would say the first goal, that we remain a commission that remain as technical as possible. Secondly, the inclusiveness of all relevant actors is guaranteed. That means, I mean, we are involving all stakeholders, so it means no one leave behind. Means there's also member states, international organizations, NGOs, and also civil society can come together and talk about data and statistics. And as you see, I also already using the words data and statistics, not only statistics, but as you all know, data, as soon as we talk about data, it's not only about statistics, but everything is about data. So we have to be quite reflexive on our way to go further, that we also incorporate all relevant stakeholders and that they have access to the Statistical Commission as also as observers. I'm coming to the third goal, the representation in the Commission reflects also the present time. As you all know, the UN Statistical Commission, we have to be compliant also with the ECOSOC rules, which means that we representation from the 5 UN regions groupings is keeping with the current times, and the distribution of seats are in line with the current ECOSOC rules. I mean, I would say this is just simply a goal that we have to fulfill. That, of course, if we have the kind of a compliant governance also within the Commission, that is also given by the ECOSOC rules, that we compliant to that. Goal 4 is membership in the Commission means more investment from the members. That is, for me, I guess, one of the most important elements. I mean, it doesn't make sense just to be inclusive and that more people talking to certain topics. I mean, the reason why we do that is that these groups come together and then they do things together. I mean, they're active, not just sitting there and having a good time, even though, I mean, I fully, I think it's good if people have that, but to be active is an incredible important thing. I mean, the inclusiveness guarantees that everybody has a voice. No one is left behind. But this just works if everybody is also active in there. So it's really the idea that people are coming there who want to help developing the Commission, help developing the task doing data and statistics at the UN level, because there are so many things to do that you show leadership for that. So just not just that someone comes there just to sit there and that they can go home and say, oh, I was there. The idea is really that we have an investment from the members in the sense of bringing this Commission further. I think in time of uncertainty, this is an incredibly important part, that we have people who really want to be together on that way and working together on that technical level. So I think goal 4 is incredibly important. Goal 5, the adopted regulation standards like guidelines, recommendations, etc., are accepted by all stakeholders. It goes exactly in that direction that that really, when you're part of it, and you also accept it, and then you look in your own country also when you're part of that inclusiveness commission, that in your own country you really have a voice, that you can bring these things back to your own country and helps you. I mean, actually, the idea behind that is that we can agree on things, and then you go back to your country and you implement it. And then you also have a legitimacy for that. So that's why I think this is very important, also goal 5, so that we really work together, show the world that we can work together. We have an incredible good network, and I think we have to use that. Active people can go back and say, we have a good network that can really help us. And then you also have the legitimacy to go back to help that our community really has a strong voice in all countries. And then finally, the goal number 6 goes in that direction, that also the institution itself, so the UN Statistical Commission, plays an active role in discussion on data and statistics. And as you all know, it's not only about statistics data, it means also about the newer topics such as like new data sources, data management, AI, and all these topics coming together now, which are very on since we have COVID. It was also like this before, but since COVID, I think everybody understood that we have to work together, but it's also not just coming together and discussing with each other and have active people. It means also that we as an institution are really having a role in that discussion, and that others can see us outside the statistical world, that they see, hey, look, these guys from the Statistical Commission, they really are the ones who helping us making a better system with data and statistics. This is a bit the 6 goals and what is behind them. And of course, at the end here, you can also then ask us some questions if something is not really understandable or so, but I would give back for a bit the focus on this goal 3 to Gabriela.
Thank you, George. And thank you for presenting the 6 goals and measures that we identified until now. Now I would only like to focus on of the 6 goals on the third one, that is on how representation in the Commission needs to reflect on present time. Here on the slide, you can see the four milestones really of identifying or setting the number of Commission members. Initially in 1945, there was one revision in 1946, another one in 1966, and now we are in 2023 with our current numbers. You can see that the number of UN member states has increased enormously, and the Statistical Commission numbers did not quite follow this. In 1966, we had 21.4% of UN member states were members of the Commission. By now, this percentage dropped to 12.4%. So that's a big drop, and that means that we are certainly not representing the global countries in the global statistical community as well as we did before, and as maybe we should. This means that that we need to address this issue. As George previously mentioned, membership is determined not only in terms of numbers, of total numbers, but also by UN regions. And this is always, in the case of all functional commissions, the mandate of the Commission contains the geographical breakdown of the membership. Now, if we want to compare our membership to other commissions, other functional commissions of the United Nations, we can see that the membership ranges from 40 to 53. So our 24 is very low. Whatever we see in these figures, we can certainly see that we are the smallest commission from among the UN functional commissions. I would say that maybe it's not so important, but it is in a sense, because it also reflects on what importance the global community, the global, let's say, political community attaches to statistics and data, which we are dealing with. So this is not certainly not the only indication, but it also reflects a bit the importance that is given by the global political community to data and statistics. So we should address this issue also. Can we go to the next slide, please? Next slide. The cost that any change, and especially an enlargement, would entail is always asked. Of course, the Statistical Commission is not the body to calculate the costs and to address the issue of costs. It's for the 5th Commission of the UN to do that. But we need to think about it, because it is always raised, even among ourselves we raise it, and in the commissions, in the Statistical Commission, it's also raised sometimes. So let's have a look at what costs this mean. As you know, it's only the travel costs that are reimbursed to the members of the Statistical Commission who participate in the Commission session. Here you can see a series of how many members use the entitlement of reimbursement for travel costs, and what it was in total each year, and what it was per funded member each year. You can see that there was not so much change between 2015 and 2020. And of course, there was a big upsurge because of the increased cost of travel after the COVID in 2023. Of course, the virtual sessions did not cost any travel cost. So in 2023, we have a big increase because of the increase in travel costs generally in the world. Yes, we can. Do we have a next slide, Linda? Yes. So what our proposed next steps are. The specific measures are linked to the goals that George presented before. Now, our next steps are that we are preparing a background note and a concrete draft on the number of members, cost estimation, etc., which will be part of an open consultation for comments. If needed, of course, we can organize bilateral chats, and if needed, again, a second webinar can be organized to discuss this topic. Based on the feedbacks, the background note will be finalized and published. In parallel of drafting the background note, a draft resolution will be generated, and discussions will be held during the next session, before and during the next session of the Statistical Commission. Over the next months, there will be a lot of opportunity to discuss and to get feedback from you all. We prepared the note by 8th of October. That is when we published the final version, and initiate a consultation in October, through which countries can provide their feedback to this note that we publish on the 8th of October. Based on the consultation, the paper will be revised and the final version will be shared in November. And in December, the draft resolution will be published on the website of the Statistical Commission. And consultation all the way from December to February. And of course, in end of February, early March, we have the 55th session of the Commission where it will be on the agenda. So this is what we thought we would inform you about, how we stand and what we plan for the near future. And now it's time for you to share your ideas, your views, your proposals and questions, of course. Please raise your hand if you would like to pose a question, or type the question into the chat box, and we will monitor the written questions. And for more information, you can visit the UN Statistics Division website, and you can find more information on how we are and what we are doing, and on the webinar also. So please pose your questions, your comments, your inputs to this document. Maybe I could ask Graziella if you would like to share a few thoughts.
Thank you, Gabriela. Before we hear the questions or comments, first of all, we're very glad that so many members participate in this webinar. It's very encouraging, especially because our goal is to show the work in progress and how our proposal can be enriched in the following weeks and months. So we are willing to, as you mentioned, to hold any bilateral meeting. Actually, in ECLAC, we're having all the ECLAC members in Santiago in a couple of weeks. We will have a meeting especially devoted to this important topic. So I invite everybody to contact us in case after this webinar some questions remain. And of course, we will be very reviewing all the suggestions so that we can enrich the proposal and really make it more inclusive since the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Graziella. Adnan, would you like to say a few words?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. Thank you all the other member of the Bureau and the Secretary of the UNSC who worked hard to prepare this webinar and the presentation. Indeed, I fully support the proposal of the Bureau, and a lot of work still to be done in the coming days and weeks to enrich the proposal and to have a convergent point of view of all the community toward before the coming Statistical Commission. And as an African group, we will do the job in the coming weeks. We already get in touch with UNECA, and we'll get in touch with the African Union to organize the discussions in the coming weeks. And I encourage all the other colleagues to do the same with the other regional groups to come up with a convergent document at the end, and to have always the consensus which always guided our community in the past years, and will hopefully continue to guide our work in the coming years with a more inclusive Statistical Commission. Thank you all, and maybe we get back the floor to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Adnan, and I would like immediately to pass on the floor to our participants who are interested in our discussion today. I propose to collect maybe a few questions and then give a set of answers to those questions or comments, and then we can continue with new questions. So please, if you would like to pose a question or make a comment, raise your hand and make it as soon as I can give you the floor when I see the hands, or type it into the chat box.
If I may, Chair, the Myosotis Rivera from Dominican Republic asked for the timeline, and it's already in the chat.
In the chat, yes.
The presentation will be soon posted on the webpage. So in case you need to read it carefully. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Graciela, for reminding us. Yes, please. Questions, comments?
Gabriella, Kara Williams from Canada has her hand up.
Kara, please. Maybe it would be easier, since I don't see the raised hands on my screen. Maybe if Linda could, since you see them, you could give the floor to them, to those who raised their hands. Thank you. So Kara, I heard from Linda that you were the first. Kara.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon or evening. Thank you to the Bureau and to UNSD for putting all this work into this presentation, and super happy to see goals and measures. I'm a little curious about how you're going to measure some of those things, having spent the last 6 years on SDG measures. Active participation seems, I'm not sure how you measure that. But a question related to, you talked about ECOSOC rules. Would those ECOSOC rules be provided to us when we review the document? Because I'm not sure what they are, or perhaps you can point us where we can find them. But I do want to congratulate you. I very much like to see that there are 6 goals, and it's not just about the expansion of the Commission, that it's about ensuring any kind of expansion is justified, and that there's more participation of the Commission members, so that it's not just adding more people. And then a question on, do you think that the Bureau would also extend, enlarge? If the Commission enlarges, does the Bureau itself enlarge? So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kara. Linda, can you please monitor whether there are any other hands up?
Yes. There's Myosotis Rivera. Do you still have a question? I see your hand is raised.
Thank you. Morning. Now, for Dominican Republic, also thank you so much for the document, for the work that has been done. It is a good scope, no, and is gave us like a position, a place, same field, not to work on the commission. And thanks for the timeline. But I want to, if it is possible, when you in the slides about the enlargement of the membership, if it's also to add in a slide about which are the regions to have more members now since in 1996, because you say that it shows in the slide that we passed from from 66 to now, the increasing of the member, but not the increasing of the members of the commission. So just to think about a geographical criteria to know how regions are the one who is increasing their members. Thank you.
Thank you, Musitis.
Okay, Marina Gandolfa from Italy, I see you have your hand up.
Good morning and good afternoon to all. It's very nice to see all you after March, and not only. I would like just to thank you, first of all, the illuminating presentation, I have to say, also the table, because it's really a picture that could help us. I have, in a way, a question, but also a comment that is pretty in line with the previous intervention. As far as I understood, for example, in ECLAC, there would be a discussion about this topic. So I would like to understand if there is a kind of role of the regional commission in this discussion. I mean, is expected that at the regional level, all the regional commission would have this kind of discussion planned in order to have then a kind of general and in somehow feedback for the work that you have to do. This is my first point. The other is, I mean, the regions are somehow included in the measurement of the number of the representation, I guess. So how do you think that this could be done, could be taken into account? Is an algorithm or something else? This is another question. The last one is about the mandate. The membership as the fixed term mandate, and there is a kind of replacement of the membership in the years. So I would like to, but sometimes there are also prolongation of this permanent presence in the membership. So do you think also that there is a kind of different rule for the rotation? Is not rotation, I mean, but the fixed term mandate and the replacement of the membership in this process? Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Linda?
Yeah, okay, so I now give the floor to Teresa Dickinson.
Yes.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. I too add my voice of thanks for the work that's been done on this by the UNSD and the Bureau, and I particularly applaud the clarity and brevity of what's being put forward. It was very heartening to see, particularly that the first mission was about reminding us all of the technical nature of this commission, and that representatives to the commission should be technical experts. The comment that I want to make, and it really is more of a comment than a question, is that for some member states, when it comes time to consider this resolution, it will be at the behest of our permanent missions and our foreign affairs departments and so on. And some of us may not have the agency to represent in the way that we normally would at the Commission on technical matters. And so whatever decisions come before us, there will be quite a number of us that will need to confer, and in some cases will need to put a position forward that represents a broader government position of our countries. And I think that came to the fore in some of the interventions at the last Commission meeting, and is something that if we want to be successful here in expanding the Commission and increasing representation and representativeness, that we have to tackle head on before we get to the Commission next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. That's also important.
Okay, so Mohammed Hassan from UAE, please.
Thank you very much for this great webinars and the panel discussions. I echo the proposal of advocating the enlargement of the Commission members and the subsequent expansion to include nations from different regions. This would really enhance the work of the Commission. At the same time, it will foster more robust understanding of the holistic view with the changes that's happening, not only in the statistic, but as mentioned by the panelists, is the data challenge that we are facing today and the opportunities when it comes to decision making. Data today is becoming, everyone knows that it's the lifeblood of our modern world, and it's constantly evolving and changing. And we see lots of, I would say, changes when it comes to the real-time data that really mandate us to really move faster. My comment is more of a my intervention is a comment more than a feedback. Is I want to make sure is that I want to make sure that is the criteria consideration should also take into consideration the an account that should take in consideration into account the member countries of each regions. And what are we expecting additional mandate of the current members? Thank you.
Mohammed Hassan.
Gabriela, at this time, I don't see any other hands.
Okay, so maybe we could answer this group of questions and comments. For the more technical ones, I mean, the ECOSOC rules that can be shared by the Secretariat, in maybe even in the note itself, or as a footnote in the note that we will be circulating to you. And I think, Stefan, maybe you could answer the Marina's question about the role of the regional commissions in this process, and whether there is an algorithm for the regional distribution of new seats, and the rotation rules, whether they are permanent or may change, or whether they are observed.
Well, thank you. But perhaps a couple of points I can share. First of all, there are ECOSOC rules for functional commissions, but they are very, I would say, procedural, and they are for very different commissions. Functional commissions at the United Nations are very different. We are really an outlier, and I would always say a proud outlier, and it comes back to the first goal that Ulrich so eloquently formulated, because we are a technical body. In most other commissions, the ambassadors or representatives from the missions are discussing the more political topics of social development and so on and so forth. So ECOSOC rules are of course binding in some of the formality, but there is also in the United Nations the mechanism of established practice. I mean, if a particular body, and we are using that a lot as a technical body, has established certain practices, then we can, and has always functioned in this way. For instance, an example for us is we have many sub-bodies. Normally there is a rule from ECOSOC that a commission cannot create a sub-commission. We have not done that, but we have circumvented this smartly by creating up to 40 working groups on national accounts on all the topics and so on and so forth. And we got away with it because it is established practice and it helps us to do our work. So I just would like to say we will send, of course, the ECOSOC rules around, but you may not find all the answers or that you're looking for there. there was also a question by Kara whether the Bureau would automatically get bigger if the Commission gets bigger. That is not necessarily the case. I do not know now what exactly are the ECOSOC rules, but just to give you the example, ECOSOC as our parent body has 54 members, and that is also sort of the upper limit for functional commissions. You saw in the slide that functional commissions, most of our sister commissions are hovering between 40 and 50. And this is because they stay in their membership below the parent body, which is ECOSOC, which has 54 members, but ECOSOC also only has a bureau of 5, namely from each political region, as we have here. And so that is not necessarily the case that the bureau gets bigger. Let me open a parenthesis here. In the geospatial community, which is a new body that we created 10 years ago, we also just got away with a mechanism which I would also consider perhaps propose to the Statistical Commission to use. We have the mechanism of an extended bureau where we invite the elected chairs of the regional bodies, and I call that the 5+5 formula, because let's say all the regional bodies, the Conference of European Statisticians or the Conference of the Americas elect chairs, so it will maintain the regional representation. So that is perhaps something that we can also consider for the future. That doesn't make our bureau formally bigger, but it puts more voices in the core. So that's just something I'm mentioning here. The geographical criteria are not very clear at the UN. This is a political game, and I should also I need to explain a little bit. UN is a complicated business, that the political regions and the economic regions do not coincide in the UN. The political regions, we have 5 of them. That's Western Europe and others, and Eastern Europe, and then Asia and the Arab states are together, and then Africa and the Americas. So that's different from our regional commissions. So just to complicate matters a little bit, but all the political bodies, and as a statistical commission, we are technically an intergovernmental body. We are using the political regions. So for instance, right now we have 4 seats for what is called Asia, and that includes Western Asia. So traditionally, we would have had in the Statistical Commission 1 member from the Arab states and 3 members from Asia and the Pacific. That's the current situation. And that is uniquely determined by the ECOSOC. There are elections every year in May, April, May, and the permanent missions decide which countries are going into which commission. And there is obviously also, don't quote me publicly, a bit of a horse trading going on. If a particular country wants to go into the Statistical Commission, but also in the Social Commission and in the Forest Commission and in the Population Commission, the other members of that region will say, hey, let's share a little bit. So in a way, we are also in our composition a little bit dependent on the political context, and we need to be aware of that. There was the question, distribution of the regions is hardwired in the commission right now. We cannot change that. So we would need an ECOSOC mandate to do that. So if we go down the road that we are talking about a larger number of members of the commission, we would also have to discuss the regional distribution, and that could be challenging because there's no rule for that. We could use the regional distribution of ECOSOC itself as the parent body. We could use the regional distribution of other functional commissions, and they vary. There are sort of different compositions, and we could make up our own regional composition. So, I mean, just it opens a layer of opportunity, but also complexity. And I should mention here one more thing, that we cannot politically discuss about sub-regions. I know some of you feel very strongly, let's say, take the example of CARICOM or the Pacific Islands and so on and so forth. At the political level in New York, those distinctions do not exist. I mean, the political members in ECOSOC only use these 5 political groupings, and that's what will be used for the elections of members of the Statistical Commission. The so-called group of Latin American countries, GRULAC, if they can decide among themselves that the membership is distributed in Latin America and there is somebody from the Central American group and from the Caribbean group, etc. And that often happens, but that's a political decision. We will not be able to influence that. Our proposal will have to stop at the distribution of the political regions.
Right.
The question on the replacement, that was also interesting because the term of a Statistical Commission member is 4 years, and I believe that is the term for all Statistical Commission, for all functional commissions. I'm not sure whether this is a variable, but we can check. So if a country is elected, it is elected for 4 years, but there is, of course, always the opportunity of re-election. And we have had a number of countries that were regularly re-elected by their political groups because they also expressed continued interest to be members in the Statistical Commission and so. So there is no formal mechanism. Every country is elected for 4 years, and when their term is up, there is a re-election in that regional group. And if that country wishes to continue and there are no other candidates, or if there are other candidates and politically it is decided that a country continues its membership, you may find countries with a membership of 4, 8, 12, 16, etc. years. So just to explain that mechanism. I could not, with everything I think I just told you, you see the importance of Teresa's point to be in close contact with the permanent missions, because we are part of a UN architecture. We are an ECOSOC subsidiary body. So I would really be grateful if you all become also ambassadors of our statistical cause and perhaps reach out in the consultation phase early. Maybe not necessarily right now, but as soon as we have a paper which sort of codifies our statistical wishes and position from our technical point of view, but definitely by the time we have a draft resolution on the table, let's say in December or so, it would become imperative to reach out to colleagues in the permanent missions. And so I can only underline that point, and I thank Teresa for making it. And yes, I think those were the main questions. Sorry for going a little bit into the architecture of the UN, but I hope that is helpful to understand what we can decide and what we cannot decide. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan, for these answers. I think it more or less covers all the questions or comments that we had. If not, please, if you're not satisfied with everything. Graciela, yes. I see your hand. You are unmuted. Or you're muted, unmute yourself.
Yeah. I would like to comment a bit on Kara's question on how to measure. We will propose in the 6 goals and measures. I think it's very important, her point, so we will be working on that. It's sometimes not as easy as it's proposed in the goals, but we need to work on that and be sure that we will be some elements for measuring our goals and our measures. So thank you for your contribution, Kara.
Yes, definitely. If you don't have exact indicators, even then we can have sort of soft indicators that would show whether we comply with our own measures.
Gabriela, I see that the colleagues from MBS have their hand raised.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And first of all, we'd like to thank the Bureau and UNSD to prepare these very good notes for formulate the 6 goals and measures. We would like also to suggest that maybe we can go further deeper discussion about the numbers of the enlarged members of the UNSC, like how many percent we should have in the future. And also maybe we need to clarify the mechanism of selection and also the like the new term and the new election of these members. So we suggest to have like more detailed information besides these 6 goals and measures, and we can have like a further and very deep discussion among all the countries. And also, I would like to know, I'm curious, when we can have this new mechanism of enlarge the member states to the UNSC. When can they be implemented? Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank the representative of China for this comment. I would think that the time when we can implement actually an enlargement, depending on when the resolution is adopted, if it can be adopted already after the next session of the Commission by ECOSOC, that would be summer of next year. And that would mean that possibly by the 56th session, we could have an enlarged Commission. If everything goes smoothly, that would be the earliest. I see Kara's extended question about the sub-regional representation or representativeness. I have my view on that. Maybe I can share it with you, because if we have more countries in the Commission, then that means that in the regional groups where they discuss which country they support to join the Statistical Commission, they have more opportunities to give a seat to small countries or less privileged countries or the countries that feel now left out. So it's just a matter of probability, let's say, that the small countries have more opportunity to get into the Commission, and they are not the Commission seats are not dominated by larger countries in the regions. So I think this is the only way that we can address it, and hope that if there is a general understanding that that is the purpose of enlargement, to have more to better representativeness, more inclusiveness. If there is a consensus on that, then the regional groups of countries will help this to be implemented. So I believe there is no formal opportunity or formal possibility for us to influence which countries actually can get into the Commission. Yes, Stefan, please.
Thank you. Just to add to this, I mean, you used the word, it's not a deterministic outcome, but it's a probabilistic outcome.
Yeah.
Just using the current numbers, I mean, if you have 4 members from the Americas, from Latin American countries, given the political dynamic at the United Nations, it is of course quite honestly a lot less likely that in a political negotiation process a Caribbean country would be one of those 4, to take that original example. If we had, let's say, 8 countries from the Americas or 8 slots for the Americans, I would think that even in a political process, it would become extraordinarily more likely that there would be also more equitable sub-regional representation. But again, we do not have a direct influence on this, but I think I agree with Kara's comment in the chat. We need to address it also for the simple reason that this was one of the triggers that started this discussion. And I think there is one mechanism that we can do. We can write into the draft resolution that language that says we strongly encourage equitable sub-regional representation within the regional groups. Okay, and I honestly don't believe, I think that would go through politically, because I think we could muster the support of those who would stand to benefit from such language, and that would then stand there, and that would give, let's say, the smaller countries something to hold on to, a mandate when they negotiate in their political groups.
Yes, thank you, Stefan, for this addition. I don't see any in the chat, any more questions in the chat. Linda, can you see any hands raised?
I don't see any additional hands raised either.
Okay, let's wait another few seconds to make sure that everybody can make their voice heard. Yes, Graciela, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to reiterate our invitation to either contact us directly or to pose questions to any member of the Bureau, so that we can ensure that all your questions and comments are properly addressed. Yes. And we will distribute the note soon, so that we can also receive written comments. And so this would be a very strong, wide discussed issue. Thank you.
Thank you. And maybe I should add that the Bureau is in constant consultation on this. All Bureau members are involved and work seriously on this issue. So we are in constant consultation, and all the questions raised to any of the Bureau members will be circulated to the others and will be incorporated as much as possible into the final paper that we prepare. And maybe I should also add that we should all get ready to consult our missions, so our political organizations in our countries, to make sure that they support the final outcome of this discussion and the resolution itself, which will be brought by consensus, obviously, in the Statistical Commission next year. And in that case, we can all adhere to it, and we can all ask for the support of our missions to make sure that they will also be supportive in ECOSOC and in general. Stefan, please.
Yeah, sorry to come back, but I realized I forgot one question, and Graciela's intervention reminded me of that. It is about the regional consultations, because Marina raised that. So we don't have an organized mechanism at this point that all the regional commissions will consult. Latin America has the lucky situation that they have their regular conference coming up, so that's a good opportunity. But I think we all get a sense that regional consultations would be useful. So I will reach out to my colleagues. I see some of my chief statisticians from the regional commissions are actually connected here, and encourage them to invite their respective regions to an exchange in whatever form that takes. If there is a forthcoming meeting in person, that may be an opportunity to talk on the side, have a chat about this. If there could be regional webinars if the regions decide to do so, or just written exchanges with the colleagues from our regional commissions or the ambassadors that you have here in the Bureau from the various regions. And allow me also another point that I forgot. You may wonder why we don't have an Asian representative in the Bureau at this point. Unfortunately, our colleague from Korea who was elected, the chief statistician from Korea who was elected as one of the vice chairs, and he had the function, of course, to represent Asia and the Pacific. He left government services, and then as such, he can no longer be, if he does not represent the Korean government anymore, he cannot be member of the Bureau. So unfortunately, we have at this moment the position of the Asia Pacific representation in the Bureau vacant. But maybe one of the earlier ideas that I mentioned with this 5+5 formula, that would be a little bit of a safeguard in this, and we have mechanisms. I will reach out to ESCAP. I know my colleagues in ESCAP. Rachel is wonderful. They will help us to make sure that the Asia Pacific voices are also heard.
Yes, thank you, Stefan, for this additional comment. So if there are no other questions or comments, I'm asking Linda whether she can.
Rolando just raised his hand.
Okay, Rolando, please go ahead. Rolando Ocampo, is that? Are you there?
Yes.
Yes, please go
ahead. Yes, thank you. Good morning. Just to take the example that Stefan made from Latin America and the Caribbean. So that we have 4 members in the executive in the committee. Now here in ECLAC we have 7 members of the Statistical Conference of the America, 2 for North America, 2 for Central America. 2 for North America and Central America, 2 for South America, and 2 for the Caribbean countries. And even that there are a small island, all of them. So we decide to have 2 representatives for the Caribbean countries, because we have the opportunity to have 7 members, and now we are adding an additional one. We are planning to have an additional one to have 8 members, and the representation of 2 countries from the Caribbean, which is very important for us. And it's one of the things that the Caribbean and the small islands countries have been pushing for this process in the Statistics Commission. So thank you.
Thank you, Rolando. Yes, that's the your regional setting, which is fortunate, but yes, we have to try to be as equitable in the Statistical Commission too. Yes, if there are no other hands raised, no other questions, maybe I would like to reiterate the timeline. You will receive the note itself, which will incorporate the questions and comments of today's meeting. You will receive that on the 8th of October. Any comments are welcome even before that, and certainly after that. You can provide your feedback, and the final version, based on the consultation, the paper will be revised, and the final version shared in November. And then in December, we will also publish the draft resolution, which will be prepared in parallel to the note that we are preparing or drafting. And the whole will be on the agenda of the 55th session of the Commission. So I would like to thank all Bureau members who are very, very active in this process, and of course also UN Statistical Commission. I will give you the floor in a minute, Stefan. I just finished my thanks. And so thank you to UNSD for the support that you have given us in preparing the presentation. And before I say goodbye, I would like to give the floor to Stefan.
Yes, thank you very much, and sorry it's me again, but I just wanted to apologize ahead of time, as I have you all hostage here, so many members of the Statistical Commission. Over 100 we reached. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. But I will invade your inbox. I'm giving you advance warning. You will hear more from me as we are approaching the Statistical Commission, and that's why I'm asking for apologies right away. 3 things very specifically I pre-announced. Number 1 is the summit. I mean, we have the summit coming up, and data and the power of data. There will be an event And I will send you all of that information, and some of you may be involved in briefing your political delegations at the summit. So I think this is going to be very interesting. It will be webcast, and this is this coming Sunday. So I will send you that information, and I think it's a very important way of connecting our technical work to the political level. So that's number one. Number two is GDP and beyond. There was a policy brief by the Secretary General, and this is cooking up again, and we must keep our eye on it as a technical community. So we will have to put this on the agenda of the Statistical Commission. I will send you background information on that, because this will be also moving forward for the Summit of the Future, the United Nations next year, very, very quickly. And I want us as a statistical community to have a firm seat at the table, and I need your support for that. And then a last point that I will get a message from me is we are a little bit in a transition in the statistics division, a number of people retiring. It is a normal thing, I guess, in every organization, and sometimes it goes in waves. So that has two implications. Number one, I would ask you for your patience, because obviously, as we are replacing key members in our team, then sometimes it takes a little bit of falling back on our solid feet. But we have excellent middle management that is eager and ready to go to the top management level. But it's also an opportunity at all levels. We will have vacancies at all levels, at the junior, middle, and top level. And your staff can also apply, or people that you know from the statistical community. So all of our job openings are open, and they are on our website. So at one point I will send you that information so that you can look at it or forward it to whoever you think might be interested in applying for opportunities. And I think it would be good for UNSD to be a bit of a mixed team of experienced UN people, but also bringing the voices of national statistical officers directly to the core. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stefan. Yes, let's send our best people to UNSD and miss them at home. No, but it's true. If we have good ambassadors at UNSD, that's also helpful to the countries. Yes, thank you. So it's time to say goodbye. See you at another time. If necessary, we will have another webinar, and look forward to the papers and the draft resolution that we are preparing in the meantime. Thank you all for participating. Thanks again to the Bureau members and to UNSD, and all have a nice day, nice evening, nice night, and see you soon.